Um, so marathon game review. I was gonna go over a bunch of the games for the marathon, but I guess I'll just kind of go over them more generally because this took way longer than I thought it did. I mean, in general, I thought the games were good for AGDQ 2014. There are definitely a couple misfires, but there's always a misfire every marathon. Um, I felt like having Beautiful Joe the first day worked out really well. I know that got a ton of viewers, and T-Man got a ton of followers for it. Oh, and if you want a posted version of the schedule, because it's actually pretty hard to find now. Hold on. Yeah, we didn't. When I heard that name first thing, I was like, that sounds kind of pornish, but I didn't really know. And then it turns out, yeah, it was a porn site. But by the time it got in, it was like not worth making a big deal out of it because it wasn't really worth making a big controversy out of it. What do you think are the chances of your game getting it? I have no clue because I don't know anything about that version of Battletoads, Miles the Wolfman. I don't know if it qualifies for alpha games or not. I'd have to see a run of it. T-Man's Twitch account is back. He's been streaming recently. I don't think he deleted. I think he just stopped streaming for a while. I do think he actually deleted his Twitter though. Like, I think I'll just do in general blocks. Like, for example, the PlayStation games that we started out with, I feel like they worked well for the first day. I mean, we might want to do PlayStation games again for the first day. But, you know, obviously we'd want different ones. Possibly different series, like maybe Jak and Dax or Ape Escape. He closed his Twitch account because he called someone on like someone ruined his game of Killing Floor, I think it was. Yeah, Bonesaw was a good first runner. He definitely had good energy. When it comes to Kirby's Adventure, I have no problems with the game coming back into another marathon as long as it's not controller head running it, obviously. Because not only was his behavior acceptable at the marathon, his run was pretty shitty. I mean, Cave Story, I could see that getting back in a marathon. Not right now, but soonish. I know I had technical issues. Hotline Miami, I feel like let's just wait for Hotline Miami 2. I want to be the guy. Well, we did Boshi. Maybe we could do Boshi 100% if someone felt like it. Banjo-Kazooie, I don't know how I feel with Banjo games. People like them, but they're also quite long. I know Banjo-Tooie could have been better showing because that was the one run during SGDQ that had a ton of setup issues. And apparently it came down to one, like, coupler. That's like a couple dollars. Like, that's it. It was one piece of equipment. The Disney Nest block, I don't know. I feel like a Disney block could work out pretty well in a marathon. Nothing too long, though. They're generally not the biggest draw. But there are people who do like them, so, you know, I would be okay with another Disney block. I would not be terribly torn up if there was not another Disney block. Yes, I heard that Oxus was actually going, which would be pretty awesome. I have heard of Mercenary Kings, and I really don't like that game. Because it's made to look like a Metal Slug game, and it plays like this, like a dumb game where you grind for guns. Oh, yeah, there's an RBA now. Yeah. Except it's like Reverse B Adventure or something like that. That might work for Banjo. Because, I mean, those N64 Rare games definitely do have a big dedicated audience. WTF Japan, I've said this before, but I don't think it worked out that well. at AGDQ. I think if anything, it should be merged with awful games, and be more emphasized at SGDQ if anything. This isn't a view. Oh shit! The Twitch cops are here. Shit. Going out. Wait a minute, Rom Scout. This is a streaming site, and you're not streaming. I should get your channel shut down. Sonic Block this year was admittedly pretty short. I know there's a ton of people submitting Sonic games for this year, and I think we could have more Sonic this year. I mean, even if it doesn't do the best in donations, it's generally an entertaining watch, as long as Niglaria is not playing Sonic Advance 2. Because real talk, that run was shit, and I'm really sorry for anyone who had to watch that Sonic Advance 2 run, because that was bad. Yeah, I haven't seen the new Superstar Saga runs, but I know they're only an hour and a half. Mega Man. See, it's funny because with HDQ, I was very dead set on, oh, these are the games that we should have for this block, or these games that we should have for that block. But, I mean, for HDQ 2014. But for this HDQ, I'm a lot less certain. Like, we definitely want some Mega Man, but I don't know what. I could see more Mega Man races being in the pipeline just because we've played them so much in marathons that not really much has to be explained anymore. Yeah, I guess it is a bit of a stereotype, Danny, but yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, Dan Ray. I feel like a good run of Sonic Advance 2 would be really good, and that's what Mike89 was telling me. Okay, that's pretty obvious, Miles. Niglaria even tried to defend his run when I called him out on his stream, and it's like, this is the worst excuse. It's like, no. So Yoshi's Island. I don't really know how I feel about 100% again, because it's been done a bunch. I feel like it'd be cool if someone actually did the any percent run, because there's been a lot of new stuff in any percent, and that hasn't been done since 2011 or something like that. Like, I think it'd actually be really cool if we had a any percent run of Yoshi's Island. You know, Katamari is a fun game, but it doesn't need to really be in every marathon. And then there's the first block of PC FPSs. I mean, honestly, a lot of these games are good and short, so they could be in again. Like, I could see Quake being in again. I could see some form of Doom, whether it's TNT or Plutonium again, or whatever, because Doom's just awesome. Resident Evil 4 was admittedly one of the flops of the marathon. It's where I should have heeded my own New Game Plus warning, because here's the thing. New Game Plus is fine when it actually adds tech to a run, or when it makes the run faster in a cool way. Like, you can do glitches, or you can, you know, like, do more cancels and stuff like that. But when it just makes the game easier with an overpowered gun, it's just no fun. It is just no fun. So New Game Plus works well with some games. It does not work well with Resident Evil 4. Could I see a Resident Evil being in AGDQ? Maybe. I mean, Resident Evil games definitely do have an audience, but at the same time, you know, they're not the greatest speedrun games. I do remember I already started New Game Plus at JRDQ. That's why I've been kind of against New Game Plus stuff for a while. You see, Rambling Josh, I kind of feel that way too, but you see, I'm not a Resident Evil fan. And yeah, Halo was the game that got saved thanks to a good runner. I mean, people's perceptions of it have changed, and just having a good runner definitely helped out a lot for that game. Blind Dragon Quest IV speedrun. That can be the entire RPG marathon. Oh, yeah, that's cool, Crispy. I think a Yoshi's Island race could work out pretty well. I don't want anything like a 4-person race. I think that'd be a little too much. I know that's kind of going off of nothing, but I think a Yoshi's Island any percent race could be good. It's a bit on the longer side of a race, but it could still be good. Yeah, that's actually really cool about Kark and SGDQ, because SGDQ 2013, his Resident Evil run was kind of a disaster. More of a disaster than it really was. And then it apparently went really well at this year's SGDQ. That's true, Murph. Call of Duty has definitely stolen the modern first-person shooter is shit thing. And yeah, I agree that there has been more FPS action, and that's a good thing, because there's a lot of good PC first-person shooters, and some good console ones, too. Can I please stop people from playing Melee, like, in general? I could see them if they're done really well, Josh. It's kind of like how he did that Rock Band 4 minus Infinity ROM hack. If it's a really good WAD, then I could see it getting in. Metal Gear Solid, I'm sure Slade did a great job at this. I mean, I could always see like one Metal Gear Solid game getting into a marathon because they do have an audience. Some people are like watching them, others are kind of at them. Metal Gear Rising, I heard that run got a lot of bad reviews from people, but that was more because of Flicky's commentary than anything else. I haven't watched the run myself. I did watch the Halo 2 run. That was pretty good run. It's a pretty hype run. But yeah. Yeah, Josh, that's kind of how I feel too about Doom. What? What? I don't even know what that is, MTI. MGS4 shower percent. Yeah, Metal Gear Rising. I mean, it's a good speedrun game, but it's just not incredibly popular is the thing. So, I mean, that is a game where New Game Plus is actually a pretty legitimate category, even though I'm not a terribly big fan of it, but I don't really know about having it again. NES Block, I don't know. It's funny with NES games, because there are definitely people who like to watch them, but they generally done kind of meh at marathons. You know, people generally don't like flag them as the best watches or like the most entertaining, and they don't do that great donations wise. I mean, you can still definitely see some NES games in marathons, but I don't really know how I feel about them. I do know that Sinister 1 and Duckfist plan doing Ninja Gaiden 2 players 1 controller, which would actually be really cool. But I don't know. I'll just have to see what NES games are there and kind of go from there. To have to feel it out a bit. Yeah, that's the thing about Dragon Quest. It's the game that if we were catering to Japanese, we would totally go for Dragon Quest, but we're not. So sorry. Mega Man X games. This is another case of like these are definitely good speedrun games depending on the game. It's just a matter of what's offered and how we want to handle it. I mean, Mega Man X is one of those games that's kind of always entertaining, to be honest. When it comes to Mega Man Zero games, I don't know about that as much. I mean, they're good games, it's just... it is what it is. Yeah, if people are under streaming on the Wi-Fi, then inform staff. We can't be everywhere, so we need to be informed of these things if they happen. 2D Mario blocks. I mean, Mario games always do well. People always like watching them. They always have good room energy. I mean, they're not going away anytime soon, let's be honest. Yeah, and let's see. Yeah, 2D Zelda. I mean, 2D Zelda, A Link to the Past always does well. Actually, all of the 2D Zeldas do well. But, you know, Link to the Past is one of those games that everyone loves. I know we had a ton of Zelda. This AGDQ. Like a ton of 3D Zelda. I think we had all of them except for Skyward Sword. So what I could see is less 3D Zelda titles, but maybe longer runs from them. Like I could see 100% Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. I promise that not everyone will drop out offering Oracle of Ages that time. That's cool, because I would actually like to see an Oracle of Ages run. That would be pretty cool. Second PC block. I mean, Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden was an amazing run, but it's one of those things that you don't really want to try again, because you wouldn't really be able to recapture the magic if you were just going for the same thing. Bastion, I mean, that was also played at SGDQ. I feel like the new game Transistor, I know that's done pretty well, and I could see that game possibly making it. Chinese Link to the Past run? I don't think so, S. Rickshaw. Star Wars, Super Nintendo, I don't really know how I feel about it. I feel like it's kind of, eh. So our little tiny little beat 'em up block for AGDQ. There's a small audience for beat 'em ups, but it's not very big. I could see like an hour or maybe hour and a half most of beat 'em ups, but if they weren't in the marathon, it wouldn't kill us. I mean, I wouldn't like that because I like beat 'em ups, but it is what it is. So Fire Emblem. Yeah, this was one of the blowouts of AGDQ. It did pretty well in donations, and I do know that there's definitely some interest in the series. So I think if just someone else ran it, and it was just done better, then I could see another Fire Emblem making it in. It just needs to be done better. Every marathon needs more God Hand. All of them. But yeah, that's how I feel about Fire Emblem. It could make it in. It just needs to be someone who either does a fixed RNG run or knows how to better deal with bad RNG. Because yes, while getting shitty RNG was bad for Burton, he should know how to deal with that. Let's see. Secret of Mana, so this is our first RPG. Secret of Mana did really well, but at the same time, no lineal Murph had to mercy kill it. And yes, the Fire Emblem run that Molotov did in bonus stream was a lot better. Yeah. I heard a couple of people told me that this information that Burton was saying on stream was wrong. Like, that's kind of how bad it was. I mean, I think Burton is good to do Sonic runs and the like. He's not good to do Fire Emblem runs. It's not his sort of deal. Well, yeah, I didn't really know the situation. But now that we have better guidelines for mercy killing, then it should be able to be handled better, because having kind of guidelines for when I'm away is not something really thought of for AGDQ until after the fact. So Secret Mana, I don't know how I feel about RPGs this year. Like, obviously, we're gonna have some RPGs, and AGDQ 2014 was probably one of our lower ratios of RPGs. I mean, I could see Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga getting in. There's a difference between... wait, Oracle of Ages is faster? But it used to have all that backtracking and stuff. Wow. Yeah, I could see Final Fantasy VII getting back in again. I'm not sure about a full game run, but there's that PC Warps category. So at the very least, that would be in. Maybe Mario RPG? I just really have to see what people offered in terms of RPGs. I will say this, RPGs are where I'm really risk-averse and super safe about. Because, like, you know, I'll sometimes include more obscure games or cult classic games because they're more entertaining to watch or because there might be a cult audience for them. But with RPGs, I just don't take that risk because bombing on a 30-minute game is one thing. Bombing on a game that's multiple hours is a real slog and not fun. Hello, Delm. Star Fox 64. I don't know. I feel like Zallard showed off the high score run well enough, then that's good. Super Meat Boy, I feel like it's a bit played out now. We've kind of done all the categories. It's not quite as popular as it used to be. It is what it is. DK64 I kind of feel like is the same way. The problem is the other categories are way too long. Like, way too long. Like, it's not 100% like 6 or 7 hours. And, like, the thing about DK64 is that, yes, it's a very glitchy and broken speedrun, and it's fun to watch, but it's one of those games I feel like the community likes more than, like, your average, like, stream viewer does. Because DK64 was not a well-liked game when it came out, as far as I remember. This guy has never been at GDQ, no. Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, I know the Claude plans in submitting that. I don't know how I feel about that game. I'm not super hot on it, to be honest, but I'd have to see a run. And another thing about RPGs is that more so than other games, because they're so long, donation incentives are a very important thing. Like, I will not deny that donation incentives are super important for RPGs just because they're so long. I don't even think the community likes DK64. Damn. Harsh. Oh, wow. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen a DK64 run, so... Yeah, Earthbound was in 2012, 2013. I could see it making a comeback at some point. I don't know if now's the time. Donkey Kong Country. I don't know. It's one of those games that, like, it's fun to watch. Maybe we want to switch it up a bit with, like, what kind of run is being played. I know people offered the idea of relay races, like, for a series, and I think that would actually be a pretty cool idea. But we just have to make sure there were a lot of good that there was a team of good racers for each game. So, like, something like Donkey Kong Country could work. Mega Man X could work. Mega Man could work. Something not too long. Like, you wouldn't want to make it too long. Ninja Gaiden could work. But I think a relay race would actually be a pretty cool idea. I wouldn't want to do try out more than one, but I think it's actually a cool idea that could actually work well if executed correctly. Diddy Kong Racing. It's really funny because this was really hype at SGDQ 2013, and I don't think it quite the energy that it did at AGDQ. I mean, I don't really know how I feel about it. I mean, if you want my opinion on racing games, my personal opinion, that has nothing to do with marathon opinions, is that F-Zero games are the best. Yeah, actually, there is a relay for Mega Man today, and I didn't get to watch the whole thing, obviously, because I'm doing this, but... So, Castlevania. So, Castlevania 4 would be a really awesome race, because there's a ton of good players for it now. The chance for blowups are kind of big, but I think it could still be a really good race, and it could be a potential four-way race. When it comes to other games, maybe Rondo, because it hasn't been done. Maybe Soten, because everyone seems to like that game. I don't know. I know that people are saying it's getting kind of tired, but then when I've tried to take it out of a marathon, people have complained about it, so we'll just have to see. I've agreed with Niglaria before. Here's the thing about Niglaria. He acts really, really stupid, but he's actually pretty smart, which really makes him stupider in a sense, because he consciously acts stupid. It's so dumb. Like it's stupider than just being plain stupid. Because he consciously acts stupid. And I don't even know why he does it anymore, because the gimmick's really wearing thin. I have no clue, Virtual Boy Ness. Um, F-Zero. I don't know if we want all of the F-Zero games again, but I think at least some F-Zero game could work out. It's always fun to watch them. Mesoscale, they might be, but they also do really well. It's hard to say. If anything else, we could do a couple of different Source and Valve games, but the problem with Source and Valve games, there's just not that many of them. But, like, we could do Inbound Portal. I mean, the thing about Portal is that even if it's played out, it's like 10-15 minutes. It's not long. Yeah, awful games, including Sonic 06. I mean, as long as we have a strong assortment of awful games that are bad but fun to watch or just kind of goofy, I want to keep it around, because that period's one of the slowest periods anyways, and you might as well fill it up with something a little offbeat and more fun. Well, not more fun, but fun in a different way. He's an idiot, but he's our idiot. I never said Niglaria was a bad guy, Lineal. I just said that he consciously acts stupider than he really is. Let's see. Contra Block. So this kind of makes me sad, but Contra, it's never really done that well at marathons. It's never been that hype. Well, it's been hype sometimes. The 2-player 1-controller run at AGDQ 2012 was pretty hype. It used to have hype in the past, but it's kind of fallen off over the years. I don't want to say no Contra, but I could see it getting in as a bonus game, especially with DK28's awesome 958 run. Ooh, at what point are repeats a consideration for awful games done quick? That's a good question, Rom Scout. Here's what I would say. I would say at least 2 or 3 years. I'm not a big fan of repeating too much stuff at awful games, but if there's one game that could be repeated, it's Trio the Punch, because it's fucking Trio the Punch. And that game is hilarious and awesome. But Flan Kitty, he was talking about Valve Source titles. The ones that, gonna be blunt, people know. It's had actual route changes? Wow. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the only awful game that's had a repeat is Subterranean, and that's because I learned hard mode. I mean, the thing about most of those games is that they're really funny to see once, and then it's kind of like, like, after the second time, like, you don't want it to wear out the joke. But yeah, Contra, I don't know about that. I could see it getting as a bonus game. I don't know about being on the schedule, though. It saddens me to say that, because I love Contra. But Vican, I have heard of that game. It's pretty obscure, not gonna lie. And it's not really a standout game. W-Fist is in? Okay, Trio has to be in. First block, as long as it's submitted. As long as Ernest Evans never makes an appearance. Excuse me, if I get a Sega CD, cutscene % can make an appearance. Neo Contra will save Contra Block. That could actually be a thing. It could kind of work out in awful games, too. The first classic games done quick hit Contra Hardcore, and to be honest, it's not the best watch. It's not a very difficult game. It's very it's very rote memorization intensive, and it doesn't feel like there's a lot going on. So Ninja Gaiden, I know it's been a bit played out, but at the same time, like, it's been in a lot of marathons. But I think if Sinistro 1 and Duckfist do their 2 players, 1 controller run, I think it would be really cool. And Ninja 5.0, I want a game like that for AGDQ. I mean, I don't know how many, but, like, just a game that's, like, not a lot of people know, but that's cool to watch. Because maybe it didn't get the best watch or anything like that, but I feel like we need to cater at least, to, like, some of just, like, the cool games that are cool to watch, even if they don't do all that great. I feel like Battle Kid could be a game that's cool to watch, because, like, I've never played it, and that was a fun game to watch, and I know Voligen said the same thing, and I know Duckfist has been working hard in Battle Kid. We should bring back CGDQ. That is possible for AGDQ Migatsu. I know Worcester has really fallen off the map when it comes to runs. So second PC block, I feel like for mystery game. I feel like if Mr. K might offer another mystery game, and he's 2 for 2 so far, so I trust him. Exactly, Fiery Blizzard. I do want to talk about CGDQ sometime. Second PC block, Hitman games. Blood Money's kind of funny just for how you get Silent Assassin, but other than that, they don't really stand on speedrun games. What's funny is that developers of Subterranea worked on the first 3 Hitman games, including Blood Money, I think. Mirror's Edge, that's definitely a good speedrun game. Unfortunately, the race didn't quite work out just because there's a high chance of blowups. Like, if you screw up a trick, you lose minutes. I feel like we should just wait for Mirror's Edge 2. That's how I feel. Elder Scrolls, I could see an Elder Scrolls game making it in. I don't really see Skyrim making it again, just because there's not a whole lot else to do with it. And even though I'm sure a lot of people still play Skyrim, it's not as popular as it was even a year or 2 ago. PC is an untapped goldmine for awful titles. It's also untapped goldmine for titles that might be a bitch to work with for PC, but because of the mid to late 90s era. PS1 is also an untapped shitmine for awful games. I don't know, Zallard. I'll go over Punch-Out later. Age of Empires 2 and StarCraft 2. So, StarCraft 2 did really well in donations. I also know it was one of the most hated runs of Marathon. Like, I saw very few positive comments about it, if any. Bad rant speedrun. That being said, I mean, because there's no new StarCraft 2 expansion, I know they plan on making 2 expansions for it, kind of like a 3-part series. But there's no real reason to do StarCraft 2. I did mention Transistor. I think that could potentially be a good game. I don't know how it is as a watch. That's my only reservation with it. Floating Runner for AGDQ, it's a possibility, Dana, because it's under 20 minutes now. Virtual Boy Ness, maybe. It might be something I would consider. Because I know the other runners are better than Mapler, and it's safer now? I didn't know that. Yeah, speedrunners' retirements last 2 months. I think it's more like 2 weeks, Ron, or 2 days. But yeah, and I think Age of Empires 2 did okay. I could look at the donation statistics later. But I think for a real-time strategy, I feel like we could have one game. Like, I know Dime has mentioned Brood War a lot, but the problem is I don't know if we have a runner for that. But it's one of the more popular games of the era, like an Age of Empires game. Or, StarCraft, Warcraft 2, something like that. Could work out. Because no point brings a StarCraft 2 back in. I mean, it did well in donations, but there's no guarantee of that happening the next time, and it was really hated. Like, no one liked that. LCC versus OST Brood War. Half-Life and Portal, so in other words, Source Block. They're definitely popular watches. I don't know. I really don't know. Because they do well, but at the same time, if we just do them every single marathon, they might burn out. But they might be one of those games like Super Metroid where, like, people never get tired of them. I don't know, because having a lot of PC games has been a recent thing, so it's really hard to tell. I do know that if we were to have, a PC repeat, it would probably be a Source, Valve/Source game. Bob, I could imagine Voligen doing good commentary for Transistor. Let's see. Typing of the Dead, Surgeon Simulator. Those kind of strike me as games. Those are fun to watch. It's kind of funny for once, but you don't want to overplay the joke. Borderlands 2. I watched that run, and I played the game too, so I'm a bit biased. That was a really good run. That was a really good watch. That being said, I don't want to see a solo run. A solo run is not as good of a watch as a co-op run. Like, co-op has all of the crazy glitches, like including the Axton speed glitch, which makes the game really fun to watch. The commentary was really great. Had the feels and everything. That game, that was definitely a run that did well on all accounts. I just wish it was at a better time slot, but schedule going late. Yeah, I'm happy with how that run went. It's not something you want to try to recreate desperately. I know there's a new Borderlands coming out this October. So I'd say just wait in that, see how that is for speedrunning, and we'll see how it goes. And here's the thing about Borderlands 1. If you like grinding and farming the game, then you should play that. But my guess is that you don't like watching that. Because holy crap, there is so much grinding and farming in Borderlands 1. Because the damage cutoff in Borderlands 1 is much sharper than Borderlands 2, and apparently everything's trigger based. So like getting into boss triggers and stuff, like you have to backtrack and all this goofy stuff. Dishonored. I mean, Dishonored did well. I think I also did well at SGDQ. Hard to say because I had kind of butt time slot, but it's I'm not too sure what else he'd do with it at this point, and it doesn't strike me as one of those games that's like as big as like a Valve game or a Source game. And about Diablo 2, I think that could work. As long as we're only like capturing like 3 or 4 of the screens, because I know it's a game that's in 3/4. We obviously wouldn't capture all 8 screens if they did an 8-way run. We might not even capture 4 screens. We might just do like 2. Tony Hawk. I remember George even said, like after his successful Tony Hawk 3 run, like in Spike's stream, that they're fun games to play and stuff like that, and they're good watches, but he's a little tired of them, and I feel like they could probably take a little bit of a break. I mean, they are fun to watch, but at the same time, I guess make space for something else that's fun to watch. No one really runs the original Gex because it was biggest on 3DO, and it's an early PS1 Saturn game, and it was never that popular to begin with, I think. Or if it was popular, then it's one of those games that no one remembers anymore. Blast Core. I mean, there's always room for some called classic N64 game because there's always N64 nostalgia. So we'll just have to see what it is for this time. Mr. Driller Drill Spirits. So yeah, this is a run that kind of sucked, just to be blunt. It was not a good watch, and that's because the guy made it not a good watch. I feel like if Mr. Driller done well could be a good watch. I mean, I know there is some interest in arcade games. I know that there are some people who are going to offer Tetris Grandmaster, and I think that could do really well. Because those are just really super impressive to watch. I think Graviton is the record at Blast Core now. Sir Tonk. Pokemon. There's always going to be a Pokemon at the marathon. Only one. Because, having more than one it's too samey. I mean, that's Pokemon success. Follows the formula. But that's also why you don't want to have too much in one marathon. 4-player Lawnmower Man, right? This. So Punch-Out. It's not going to be blindfolded if we have it this time. I still feel like we could have Punch-Out. I just don't think it should be blindfolded. What's my opinion of Japan-only games in general? I think it depends on the game. If it's a really entertaining watch, or if it's something that has like, a bit of cult popularity, I could see it getting in. But if it's something just super obscure and doesn't really stand out, then no chance, to be blunt. So Alien Soldier, I I hate to say this, but treasure games never do well at marathons. And a lot of them aren't very good speedruns. Alien Soldier is one of the exceptions to that. And so is Bangai-O, but Zex couldn't make it. The reason why Zex couldn't make it is legit. I won't say it because it's for personal reasons, but... yeah, I don't really know how I feel about treasure games. It's sad because I used to be all about the treasure games, and... I don't know. They're just not very good for speedruns. So 3D Zelda. As I said before, there's always going to be some 3D Zelda in Marathon. Let's be honest. But probably not as much as there was last time, or at least not as many games. But I could see there being longer runs. Like, for example, Wind Waker. I mean, we had base Wind Waker. We had Wind Waker HD. I don't even think Cosmo plays Wind Waker anymore. He's been playing Beetle Adventure Racing of all things right now. I could see a longer 3D Zelda run getting in, like a 100% Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. Yeah, that. Well, Alien Soldier is just hard in general, and it's just really fast paced. So that's how I feel like it worked. Yeah, Rambling Josh. I didn't want to originally schedule Alien Soldier there, but the problem is Zost couldn't get in until Friday, so that's why I was scheduled there. Well, I wouldn't say it's your fault. I mean, you had a legitimate reason. It's called school. Metroid Prime? I don't know. Metroid Prime always seems to do well. So Super Metroid. I could see it being a 4-way race again if it's 100%, because there are, and if the right people come. I wouldn't want to do an any percent 4-way race again, because I don't want to try to recreate, like, really hype moments like that, artificially, It obviously there's gonna be some form of Super Metroid as long as someone who runs it can come, because it's always hype, it always has good energy, it always does really well in donation. Save the Animals now makes a 6K salary, raises a 6K salary in donations. Just have the Zost versus Cop Power all categories race. Is that a relay race? Rom Scout confirmed it. That would actually be a cool race. But yeah. So GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. It's interesting because GoldenEye is such a well-known game. And so is Perfect Dark. But at the same time, there's not a ton of varied stuff you can do with it. It's hard to say. RBO, I'm not sure about, because even though it's impressive from a skill standpoint, I don't know how it is as a watch, because there are a lot of slow moments in RBO. Yeah, the beginning bit isn't so exciting because that's the slowest part. It's also really, really not marathon safe. If you thought low percent was marathon safe, RBO is even less marathon safe. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. I'll just play it by ear. F-Zero X was slotted in there because Wilder got the flu and he had to recover. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. So funny thing is that I could see this making it in again. Maybe not right now, just because I hear there's a big glitch. And it makes the run a lot shorter. Like, it's a little over an hour now. I know 3D Grand Theft Autos are pretty popular, but I don't know how I feel about it. This is AGDQ talk. I'll review SGDQ a bit, but I'll be more general about that since I didn't make the schedule for that. That was one of the most underrated runs at AGDQ. We need more GOAT. Mario RPG games, I don't think Paper Mario should be done again, just because we've had the all cards and the any percent been done. I could see Mario RPG getting back in. I could see Mario Superstar Saga, just vary it up a bit. The 3D Marios, I don't know. That's another thing I'll have to play by ear. I hear it's very unlikely that Puncation will come for Super Mario 64. That's just what I've heard. Oh, it has wrong warps now. Okay. Yeah, Epically Epic is a really good 100% runner. Luigi's Mansion. So I'm going to be blunt with Luigi's Mansion. I hate Luigi's Mansion. I think it's really boring to watch. I think the any percent run is really cool because it's a big skip, but I think the main game itself is just terrible. And I'll just go with my biases here. I'm not even going to try to make up a good reason for it. I just hate the game. Minecraft, I don't know, is good for the novelty. I don't really know if it's really worth trying to get the novelty again. Obviously Wind Waker, you know, that's a bit done. Needs to take a break. I mean, that's the thing. You do want stuff that people are familiar with to a certain extent, but you also want some new stuff, and you also want to vary up the categories a bit so it's a little fresher. Or just way improved. Sometimes just improving it a lot is good, because that's all that happened to Half-Life 2, is that it was a runner who is better than Studio, and Studio will be the first one to admit to that. We'd have to ask Oxwas, Mike89, about that, because that is something where we'd have to be really careful about the commentary. And Chrono Trigger, like, the thing about RPGs is that, yeah, they're long, so if you do them too often, they can burn out really fast. Yeah, I mean, obviously someone else needs to explain the run. I don't know about an SMRPG race just because the game is so long. There could be a lot of variance. So yeah, that's AGDQ. Dang, that was long. So SGDQ. I'll look at SGDQ a bit. The schedule's still up, so here you go. SGDQ in general, so it was definitely a lot more permissive towards like cult classic and more obscure games and stuff like that. And as much as I hate to say this, but this has always been a thing, it kind of paid for it, because the donations were faster than AGDQ on the first day. Then they really slowed down Monday to Wednesday. Then they started pick back up again Thursday, and then it got super backloaded Friday and Saturday. And don't get me wrong, AGDQ was backloaded, but like SGDQ was super backloaded. Oh, Sva would be cool. And I know that Sva actually has pretty good spoken English. Viking GMR, as far as I know, no, there's no one running that. No, it shouldn't, Darkwing Duck. I'm just saying as a general thing. Like, yeah, it didn't have the popular games spread out much. They were all backloaded into Friday and Saturday. Because I think like 2/3 of SGDQ was within the final 36 hours or so. Trine was offered, and the runner dropped out in both cases. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of cool stuff that, you know, speedrunners and stuff like to watch, but that doesn't necessarily mean everyone you know, like, people outside of the community want to watch it. I agree, Bro Buzz. Exactly. The schedule was insanely backloaded. I mean, that's the thing about AGQ, is that I had like Zelda on Tuesday and Friday. I had Mario on Tuesday and Saturday. I had Metroid on Friday. I had Source Block, well, Thursday in theory, if it wasn't pushed back so far. Wednesday probably had the had the lesser popular stuff, but Wednesday's a bit of a slow day anyway, so it's like, is what it is. And the start also had, and the first day had Banjo-Kazooie, so I guess you could call that. Yep. Mega Man generally gets in some form or another. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I've always known this about obscure games, that they just don't do well in donations, and they don't do well in terms of audience and excitement, because not a lot of people are going to watch them. I will say one thing about SRG, and that is they do support their boys, and they do come out for each other's games. And maybe the commentary isn't always the best, but they do support each other, and I'll give them credit for that. The Q&A is going to come really soon. But yeah, I think it's telling, because, like, I love this run. It was Noitu Love Devolution 2, aka the Caveman DCJ run that people didn't know about. And I was the couch for that game. I was the only person on the couch for that game. And I just offered to do commentary for it, like, 6 hours before the run. I just saw him do a run, and, like, I did, and the commentary worked out really well, actually. Caveman's a good commentator, and he actually really enjoyed it, unlike Tomba 2. But yeah, it helps when there are people just sitting too. So Metal Wolf Chaos was the one game I was salty about being cut at SGDQ, and that game actually did pretty well in donations as far as I can tell. I don't have the statistics, but I just remember there are always donations coming in during that game. And yeah, that's a game that just commentates itself, and I'm glad it got back in. Yeah, I am involved with the SGDQ game selection. I don't make the decisions, that's obviously ROM Scouts, but I remember agreeing with Mega Man 5 for Game Boy, because I know that's by far the most popular and well-liked one for Game Boy. But yeah, I think maybe just a little more balance between the stuff, because, like, there was definitely some stuff that definitely did really well, like the mystery game Ninja Baseball Batman. I would watch that run if you haven't, because it's really fun, because it's a really good watch. Metal Wolf Chaos, that's another good one. And La Mulana was apparently really good. Apparently J-Man did really good commentary for that, and that actually raised a lot more than I thought it would. So there's always, you know, those games that do surprisingly well, but, you know, then there's the 9 or 10 or so that don't do that well. Yeah, Gilder did a great job being host for Metal Wolf Chaos. He said it was really easy, but I could see a lot of people who just wouldn't really, like, have the voice and, like, the commentary that, like, Gilder would have. Yeah, Ninja Baseball Batman was a great surprise. Josh. Should just be a week of Metal Wolf Chaos. I'd be down for that. Ah, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I knew that some people knew about La Mulana, but I didn't know that, like, because, like, the bidding war raised, like, $5,000, which is not something that I was expecting, and neither was ROM Scout. Exactly, Rambling Josh. I 100% agree with that. But yeah, I mean, as sad as it is, a lot of cult classic or more obscure stuff just doesn't do as well. Just doesn't excite people. Doesn't capture interest. I'm sure there's ways we can improve that by putting similar games to similar cult classic games to more popular games, and, like, hyping them up a bit like that. I know Studio wanted to do something like that, kind of like just kind of like hooks and lead-ins for those games. Like from Super Meat Boy to Dust Force, like, do you still like, the intense platforming Meat Boy, blah blah blah, here's Dust Force, something like that. It might not, I mean, it wouldn't 100% fix it, but at least it'd be something. Yeah, that also helps, Mikey. But yeah, I still think SGDQ did really well, and I know ROM Scout is pretty aware of how backloaded it was, so he'll probably spread it out more for next year. I mean, over $700,000 is nothing to sneeze at, and it was still super successful. So, and the Humble Bundle worked out really well. So, yeah. So my only thing is, if I had to sum it up, it was a good schedule, but yeah, maybe not backloaded so much. Well, I guess. And maybe a little less emphasis on the obscure and cult classic games, but then it might become too much like AGDQ. Who knows? That's just my thoughts. And let's